What a beautiful circuit we have to be racing on here this weekend. It is the 2025 MSA Australian Formula 4 Championship. For race 2, Noah Killian, Harrison Dusk, Cohen Kovic, Brock Burton, Isaac McNeil, Imogen Radburn, Chloe Lane. We also have Andrew Fitzpatrick, Diago Stewart, Kobe Wilson, Jesse James Samuels, Jamie Lee Su, and Christian Arthur, P16. Lawrence Cadist, Xavier Babbage down in P17 and P18 on this wonderful grid of 20, nearly 20 cars, 15 to be exact. 15 Australian Formula 4 cars are about to hit this, what is spectacular circuit, as the sun continues to peak here at Sydney Motorsport Park for race number 2 of the Australian Formula 4 Championship here as we stand by for the world feed. But take in, as I said this morning, just the sights and the sounds for a few moments of these F4 cars racing around this circuit. Round 5 of this championship here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Round 4, sadly, there was no stream for round 4, but we very much do have a stream here for round 5 of the Australian Formula 4 Championship 2025. As we get ready to go racing for round 5 here this weekend. Very excited to see some action here on track for this F4 Championship race number 2. Not the last action of the weekend, but the cars are now running around to form up in their grid boxes to get this race underway in just a few moments' time. Here, as you can see there, the Hyundai i30 safety car sitting to the left of the circuit, waiting for these F4 cars to line up before once more we go racing for the Australian Formula 4 Championship.
This will be a staggered grid start.
This will be a standing start for all these drivers here. Very excited for the start of this one. Of course, last time when we went racing for race number 1, we saw big chassis damage to 2 cars. Quite unfortunately, one of them sadly not able to make it out for this race. Very unfortunate indeed, but here we are racing once more for the AU4 Championship, more or less known as the Australian Formula 4 Championship, as we're about to get some lights on the gantry. We're about to go racing for race number 2 of the Australian F4 Championship. It's lights out, and it's away we go for the Australian Formula 4 race number 2. Here, good start from the grids as we roll up into turn number 1, show up into turn number 1 more or less, and everybody gets offline very nicely. No incidents so far. A bit of a lock-up there from the number 80. Trying to get the car stopped up into turn number 2. From this point onwards, the track continues to rise in terms of elevation. Up through Bond Bend they go. Bit of dust being kicked up there in the background. Killen, though, leads over Dusk, Burton, McNeil in P4. Here leading this race overall at the moment, 25 minutes plus 1 lap. A little bit down on schedule, so cut back through 5 minutes here. So back to a 20-minute race. But Killen leads 2/10 back to Dusk, and then Burton, as Burton now looks just around the outside, McNeil looking around the outside of Burton, trying to look for a move. It's not going to happen there on the outsides. Only 3 support races here this weekend. Only 3 races here this weekend, so there's not much in terms of rubber going down. So the track is not improving as much as what you'd be expecting it to, but it's very much improving as more and more cars go around here. As breaking the slipstream there is Burton, moving to the left-hand side, trying to break the slipstream from McNeil. McNeil pulls out, though, side by side into turn 1. Is that going to end up happening? It won't. As being pushed slightly to the left-hand sides. Burton only 3 wides. And I think Burton lost the position there. McNeil as well, trying to go around the outside with Kotovic as well. Doesn't end up happening. Kotovic moves up into P3. Burton moves down nearly 2 spots. He's down into 5th. Kotovic up into 3rd. McNeil in 4th. So now McNeil has to battle on with another driver of class. Pro versus not so pro. So 2 different classes. Pro-Am and Pro, I'm going to name it here. But let's take a look at the replay of exactly why. You can see Burton not giving up that position, and McNeil neither. And Kotovic goes right down the inside, says, "Thank you, I'm taking that position." McNeil tries to fight it. It won't happen there on the exit. Not getting the exit power, not getting the grip from the rear tyres that he would have wanted to try and fight back. But Killian leads 0.8 of a second over Dusk Kotovic in P3. And then McNeil, Burton, and Radburn, 2/10 back from Burton, the young Australian. Very much grown up from around here, so knows this circuit like the back of his hand, like most drivers should. As Killian gets fast lap of the race, 1:31.1. Of course, earlier on today we saw a safety car. Killian, though, was leading by nearly 2 seconds up to that point. That safety car did brief the race for a few moments. McNeil looking up the inside of Kotovic. Does he get the move done? He certainly does. And of course, Kotovic still there on the outside, but McNeil gets the move done. He's up to P3 now. But as to if he can make any grounds from there is unknown to everybody here. Of course, we have McFine leading this championship here at the moment by about 25 points. He's got a good buffer to the next car, which is McNeil in position 3. Fitzpatrick leading the Pro category over Stuart Wilson, Samuel Babbage. And taking a look here, lock up from the number 29 car. That is Radburn. Didn't lose many spots, but it wouldn't have been helpful. As we take a look here at what seems to be the leader in Pro-Am. The leader in Pro. This is a battle for second in Pro here. So, 2 different classes in the Australian Formula 4 Championship. Pro-Am and Pro. So, take a look here at the Pro category. We're now back to the Pro-Am category, being led overall by Killian over Dusk, McNeil, Kotovic, Burton, Radburn, and Lane. Last in Pro-Am, but 7th overall. 8th Fitzpatrick. The 88 of Fitzpatrick, 8th overall. Here, as we take a look at number 3, trying to get a move done there on Wilson. He does get the move done. And that will be up to 3rd in class. So, not bad there for Wilson. He gets that move done very nicely. And he's now up to 3rd in class. So, what he would have wanted in that state of mind there. Meanwhile, the 2 leaders in Pro-Am are very much getting closer and closer to each other. 0.5 of a second, actually. So, it's close. You define close, that's very much close there. And as I say, that margin pulls out slightly to 0.9 of a second. So 4/10 Killian buffed over there. So Kaditsta into the pits. So was sitting 6th overall in Pro, but now is in the pits. Babbage and Sue having a good old scrap, 12th and 13th at the moment. Battle that we're looking at the moment is Wilson and Stewart, I think, or I think I could be wrong, but Wilson and Stewart. We're looking at this battle at the moment. The cars cross the line. So Stewart actually pulled out a really good move there. He's moved himself up 2nd in Pro. As to the outsides goes Wilson. Tries to look for the move back. Crisscross, not going to happen. Or the cross back, whatever you'd like to call it. Sideways for Stewart. As hello to Will. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. As that crisscross looked on there for Wilson. Not going to happen. He sits 3rd in the Pro category. 13.5 minutes to go. Sideways and off of the fence. Sideways, hard of the fence. Goes Stewart. Sat 2nd in Pro. And not going to happen now. Big damage to the car. And it was very much off corner exit, turn 8. Where just getting the power down struggled for that car off. And in the fence, big crash indeed. Says Will, big crash, off, lost traction in the rear end of that car, off and in the fence, 2nd actually sitting in Pro-Am. We were riding on board with that car as it happened. You can see the tiny incremental little steering inputs you have to put into that, and for him just to put the power down a bit too early, and for him just to get sideways on exit, it's not very normal, but he's now lost 2nd in Pro-Am and is out to this race. Officials have now just called safety car. So we'll be under safety car now for what should be only a couple minutes, depending on whether or not there is barrier damage. But we did see yesterday also another big crash, big brake failure from Stewart in the number 73, who's currently sitting 6th overall in Pro-Am. He ended up finishing 6th in Pro-Am, so he would like to improve on that result. Have we even gone safety car here, ladies and gentlemen? This is... Unless the Stewarts are... Now, it's on the exit of Turn 1. For those people that have been to Sydney Motorsport Park before, you would know where on the exit of Turn 1, he's just put the power... Oh, sorry, the exit of Turn 8. Car off, and that's another car off, spinning in the background. That is... Before you hit the hairpin, that's the number 29 car. Before you hit the hairpin onto that long back straight. And that's a car off. That's the number 29. That's Radburn, who was sitting 6th overall in Pro-Am. He's now not going to be sitting 6th overall in Pro-Am. He will drop right back down the field. If he doesn't get that car moving, there will be a safety car. I like what the officials are doing here with the whole trying to extend and try not to get a safety car. But to be honest, if there's a car stuck in a dangerous position, you'd probably have to move it there. As we take a look at a replay of what happened to the 29 car of Stewart. That car's just gone around on corner exit and hasn't... I'm guessing he's been able to refire that car. He hasn't been able to refire that car now. That's in a dangerous position. The race control will have to do something about this because that's in a dangerous position. And racing standards advisor will have to think about this carefully here. I understand he wants to try and keep us racing for as long as possible, but with a car in such a dangerous position, it can cost drivers' health and even safety here at this point. Has that car been able to move? We'll get a shot. No, he still hasn't been able to move. Safety car has been called, and that's just been popped up on a graphic there. Safety car is out. We will be under a full course caution for hopefully a couple minutes. I'm going to guess it's going to take a bit longer for the Sydney Motorsport Park crew to clear up these two cars. One in the barrier quite substantially, and one spinning, not able to refire the car. But the Racing Standards Advisor has actually done, to be honest, quite a good job at leaving it as long as possible and trying to get us a bit of racing down. As we take a look here at what happened, and Wilson, bang, straight into the barrier, big hit with that car. He was sitting second in Pro-Am. Stewart, sadly, not going to be able to continue on in this race with such big damage. Radburn also out of this race, and so is Kaditza in the number 23 car as well. Well, we have the chance, once again, thanking all the officials and the volunteers. Again, we would not be able to go racing without you around this circuit. To become a motorsport official, visit motorsport.org/official. You can become official just by signing up, young or old. Even if you're, I think there's a certain age limit, like 13 or over, but you can become official. And again, we would not be able to go racing without our officials here. Clearing the circuits as safety car is out on the track, so it will take probably a few minutes to clear these two cars. Also trying to get a safety vehicle out there as well is also another thing. 8.5 minutes to go. We've gone through 12 minutes of this race. For those people that watch single-seater racing, there's not normally classes, but Australian Formula 4, you tend to, this is a different sort of racing, you know. You have two classes. You have the Pro-Am category, which is led by Killian at the moment. And then you also have the Pro category, which is led by Fitzpatrick. So, he's currently sitting first overall in that category, is Fitzpatrick. What this will do is this will probably help both Wilson, Fitzpatrick also. By the way, he led by nearly 8 seconds before that safety car came out. So, it was almost certain that the Pro category would be defined in this race. And then you've also got the Pro-Am category. Now, the difference in cars, there's no difference in the cars. I think there's a bit more weight on the Pro-Am cars. So, the Pro-Am cars have a bit less weight. They have a bit less grip. But with the Pro-Am car, sorry, I've got this wrong. The Pro cars have the grip advantage, the grip limited advantage. The Pro-Am drivers have the grip advantage. So, I think I got that right. I was literally only reading over the driving, and the differences in terms of the Pro-Am and the Pro cars in the 7-hour gap we had between this race and the next one. So, so sorry if I got that wrong, but I think I got that right, actually. So the Pro cars, which is, of course, the orange highlighted ones you see on the screen, and the Pro-Am. Now, the difference in terms of the grip is the Pro-Am cars have treaded tyres, road tyres. Of course, they give off less grip, so that's also a reason as to why Stewart possibly could have spun that car right around, and in the barrier goes Stewart. But that's possible a reason. And then, of course, the Pro drivers have the Pirelli rubber that you would see in any other Formula category, in any other Formula 4 car as well. So that's possibly a disadvantage. A bit more weight on the Pro, bit more weight on the Pro cars, bit less weight on the Pro-Am cars. So there's a weight advantage in that, as the number 29 car gets pushed to a safety area. Of course, there's no hole in the wall that you could just sneak it behind, or you could push it close to the wall. But I'm not seeing a hole in the wall down there. You could just park that car in. No, at least not at the moment. Or you could pull the car just inside the barrier where the marshal stand is. That is not a bad idea, if I do say so myself. But, yeah, 5.5 minutes to go. We have bit of a race on our hands in both categories. We should get a bit of racing, actually, with 5 minutes, 10 seconds to go. We did get a safety car sort of around that same time yesterday, in yesterday's race. So, yeah, this restart of this race should be quite interesting. The other thing that you can define the Pro and the Pro-Am cars, with the Pro cars, it just sort of looks like a normal Formula 4 car. So, that's how you can define them. And then, of course, the Pro-Am cars, you have, there's a few more little intricate details on the cars that you will be able to see. Below the rear wing, where you would see the DRS in Formula 1, there's a little other rear wing underneath that. So, I'm guessing it helps with a little bit of the grip, the rear end grip that you get. Because, of course, you don't want a big grip advantage between the two. You just want a tiny little one. And that tiny little one is just, it's just helpful enough to keep these cars on the circuit and keep them safe enough for these drivers. But, yeah. Good to see. Of course, before the safety car came out, we saw Kilian set the fastest lap of the race. He's the leader of this race overall and the leader in the Pro class. So, good to see. 1:30.7 there that time around. This racing has actually been a lot more interesting. You know, I came into this weekend not expecting much, as that tow trailer has just pulled away from that car. You can see there the Pro category. There, Kilian leading that category over Dusk, McNeil, Kotovic, Burton, Lane, and Radburn in 7th. So that is the Pro-Am, more or less, Pro-Am category. And then you've got that's the Pro category. This is the Pro-Am category. Fitzpatrick, Wilson, Samuels, Babbage, Sue, Arith North, Stewart, and Kaditsa in P8. Down in P8. But, yeah, it very much has been a lot of exciting action here with a few, well, I'd like to say big accidents, but they're not exactly accidents you want in single-seater racing. You really want to go racing for the whole race, but those sorts of incidents, you can't do much about that. But of course, you got to do what you got to do. 2.5 minutes remaining in this race. As if we will go racing is an unknown at this point. I'm not completely sure if we will end up going racing this time around. We will not go racing this time around. Possibly another lap, but by that point, you'd think the race will finish under the safety car. In these sorts of single-seater races, you really want to go the whole length. The safety cars do sort of ruin it, in my opinion, in these sorts of single-seater races. But, yes, so, yeah, not what you want at all. But, at this point, if I was the race official here, I probably would have just red flagged this one, because it doesn't seem as if we will go back racing, quite unfortunately. But of course, this is not the last race of the weekend. We've got one more race coming up from 8 o'clock local time. So 8 p.m. local time, I'll be back for race number 3. But a minute and a half to go in this one. I'll talk you over the classes. So in Pro, at the moment, Kilian, again, leading class overall. Leading class and then overall as well. So what I mean by overall is leading the race overall. And then Dusk in P2, McNeil rounding out the Pro. Rounding out the Pro podium. Kotovic will just sneak off that podium. Of course, we saw McNeil, Kotovic and Burton have a big battle quite early on in the race, at the very start of the race. Lap 2, lap 3, we saw that battle unfold. And then, of course, we had... and then we had Lane sitting in 6th. We had one retirement from the Pro category, which that was Radburn spinning and not able to fire that car back up. And I think that's been the problem. I think he might have broken a throttle cable inside that car. But safety car lights are out. We will get a race to the line, or maybe one lap of racing, by what looks, I think. We either get one lap of racing or we don't get one lap of racing. But apparently we're they're behind schedule over there in Sydney, at Sydney Motorsport Park. So it will be very questionable as to if we go racing here. But Killian leads out of the final corner. Will he win? That is an unknown. Will we see the checkered flag? That is also an unknown. We'll have to wait and find out. Killian will lead us down to turn number 1. And I can't see the checkered flag. We're going to go racing for 1 lap here, ladies and gentlemen. 1 lap. And that's all we're going to get. Killian, Dusk, McNeil, 1, 2, and 3 here in this one. Further back, Kotovic. Keep an eye on both classes here. So we have Pro, and we have also ProAm. You see ProAm further back in the background there. Battle going on in ProAm for the lead. Fitzpatrick v. Wilson. Car off into the fence. Big accident. Big accident. Car off in the fence. And that will do our race. That is the Warmail Developments cars at Babbage. Off and in the fence. It is Babbage off and in the fence. And Samuels as well. Caught up in that. So there's big damage to a few cars out there. Babbage out, Semula out as well. We are going to go back under safety car conditions. This is very unfortunate. If I do say so myself, we are not going to go back under safety car conditions. We are going to stay green. But there was a battle going on in Pro-Am. In Pro, we sort of missed it, but there's not a battle going on in Pro at the moment. There was a battle going on in Pro-Am. I don't know if it's fixed itself. 3/10 between Fitzpatrick and Wilson. I'll keep an eye on that timing graph for you, ladies and gentlemen. But it is Killian who will round the final corner. He will win 2 in a row for the Australian F4 Championship. Killian domination in race number 2 of the Australian Formula 4 Championship. He wins overall in Pro. And then, of course, in Pro-Am, who is it going to be settled by? I think it's either Fitzpatrick or Wilson. There, I thought, it was close to the line. I think it might have been Fitzpatrick who took that win and leaning over the barrier. Not in a good sight. The checkered flag out, and we might just fall a little bit further behind. There. As we take a look at the results of this one, Noah Killian, Harrison Dusk, Isaac McNeil, Cohen Kotovic, Brock Burton, Chloe Lane in that pro category, Andrew Fitzpatrick, Kobe Wilson, Jamie Lee Saw in P9, Christian Ruth in P10, rounding out the top 4 in Pro-Am. But Sue just gets on the podium. He wasn't actually on to get the podium in this one, but Andrew Fitzpatrick led from lights out to the flag at the end, and so it did Noah Killian in Pro as well. A lot of Pro-Am and a lot of Pro cars out of this race. Xavier Babbage, Jesse Samuels, Imogen Radburn, Diago Stewart, and Lawrence Kaditz in P15. Rounding out your grid for the F4 Championship here this week. And, of course, hope to probably every one of the drivers out there that they are A-OK. But that will round the AU4 Championship for today. Well, not for today. We are back for race number 3 a little bit later on today. About an hour's time, actually. So, very short turnaround. In about an hour and 20 minutes' time. Let's take a look at the replay of exactly what happened. Oh, and just off in the grass. And big contact. So, what actually happened? To be honest, you can't see it off the cloud of dust that had imbrued there. Paramedics on scene immediately to that incident. But yeah, the paramedics on scene. Hopefully, all is A-OK. And in that situation, you probably want every driver to be A-OK there. But yeah, that is it for the Australian F4 Championship here. That is race number 2 done. We have race 3 coming up from 8 o'clock local time. But until then, I've got a dinner break, and then we're back for race number 3, the final action of the week, and final race in about an hour's time. Until then, it is goodbye.